to Marilyn Monroe tribute artist from Basildon, Isabella Bliss. Now, last month she launched her Behind the Burlesque podcast, but has been unable to shout about it on her Facebook and Instagram due to being shadowbanned. I'm glad to say that Isabella is joining us in the studio today. Welcome, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for popping back in as well. And I feel like since we last spoken, lots have changed. For one, you've created a podcast.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about Behind Burlesque.
So the reason I wanted to create Behind Burlesque was because, like, you know, I've spent 13 years in the industry, 20 years on the stage, and I'm curious about people and their story, and like I'd always sit backstage with performers and be like, oh, so what got you into it, and what inspired you, and what's been your journey, and I'm endlessly curious, and I was so blown away by everybody's inspirational stories of courage and resilience, and it just got me thinking. I was like, I'm really lucky to hear these stories, but is there a way that we can share these with the outside world and let people in on our art form in a way that they perhaps hadn't seen before, and hopefully be inspired by these tales of resilience and courage, because they're very human stories, and they're not just specific for burlesque.
I mean, I can believe that because I know we've had you on the show before, Isabella, and just hearing your journey into burlesque and cabaret and all the work you put into creating your costumes, your materials and your sets, and people don't realise how much hard work comes into what we then see for a few moments on stage. So I know it's a relatively new podcast, but so far, what are kind of the things that you've discovered from some of your guests?
People like the kind of call to courage. I think we had Isabella Thunder on as the first guest. She's the reigning Miss Exotic World at the minute, which is like the biggest accolade in burlesque you can have. And we talked on the first episode of her kind of life-defining moment where she just said yes. She didn't know what the outcome was going to be. She didn't know what to expect. She was a little bit nervous, and she just said yes to go into her first class. And it's like the courage of conviction to say yes and just try something new that you've never done before without knowing where that journey is going to take you. And I think that's a really human, beautiful thing we can all connect to, because so many of us have had the idea that we want to do something or try something, and we get in our own fear and we don't. And the ability to like share that story of like, well, look what happens if you do say yes and take that chance on you. So that was quite inspiring.
I suppose being a fellow burlesque and cabaret performer, does it surprise you to hear those people say those sorts of stories, and do you relate to any of them?
Yeah, like yes and no, and it's always lots of the stories and things that have come up have made me really reflect on my career as well and go, God, yeah, I resonate with that. That was when I chose courage. That was when I had to be resilient, that was when I had to push through my fear. And so it's also given me a great opportunity to reflect on how my career has progressed and how I've pursued those things as well. And I'm kind of like in the process, I guess, of distilling that into a little book for people as well, because I want to be able to share those stories.
Okay, so it doesn't stop with a podcast. There's a book on the way. I feel like we just got a bit of an exclusive.
Yeah, you did actually, because I haven't told anyone. I'm quietly working on it.
Okay, well, we'll continue finding out more about the podcast, more about the book, and a little bit more about how social media has not been your friend at the moment, it seems, here with Isabella Bliss from Basildon. We've seen her on stage as Marilyn Monroe, and we're going to continue hearing from her today. Welcome if you just joined us. We're catching up with Isabella Bliss from Basildon, and is known to us as a Marilyn Monroe cabaret tribute artist who's been on the scene in Essex and beyond for a while now, and has now launched a new podcast called Behind Burlesque, telling the stories of fellow performers like yourself, of the moments that they took a leap of faith, they tried it, and the things that they've learned and found. How's the reaction been to the podcast so far, Isabella?
Do you know what? I was really nervous when it first went out, and I was like, is anyone going to listen? And I tried to not check the stats every day and obsess about it. So I left it for a week, and I came back and I was like, oh, actually, like, I'm really happy with that as a launch. So yeah, that's been my benchmark, and the response has been really beautiful, actually. I've had some really lovely inbox messages from people where they said they really connected with it, or they felt really seen, or they felt really inspired. And like, we were talking about the subject of courage, and then like somebody messaged me and was like, oh, I've got to go do the thing now, haven't I? Like,
yeah, you have to say yes. You'd have to take that leap of faith sometimes. I mean, I don't know much about the world of cabaret and burlesque. Is it quite a big following here in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it's a global, thing, burlesque and cabaret. And, cabaret and vaudeville in itself has been around for like 100 years. It's a fascinating art form. And I feel like it doesn't get the recognition as an art form the way musical theatre does, or the way that ballet does, or the way that other theatre performance does. Burlesque is always seen as like the kind of not so professional version, and it really frustrates me because the people in burlesque and cabaret work probably harder than the other professions, because you are your own social media marketer, you are your own manager, you're your own logistics person, as well as the performer and the creative. And so by creating the podcast, it was an opportunity to show the world just how hard these individuals work on creating their act, creating their brand, and promoting themselves, and all of that work that the audience don't get to see, because like you say, they see those 5-moment snippets of us on stage. And I've had people say to me before, like, oh, who does your costume? You must have somebody do your makeup and your hair. And I'm like, no, it's a one-man band.
Yeah, it's all you. And I remember when you told me that you had to repurpose a carousel horse for your stage, and I was thinking, how on earth do you have the skills to do that for one performance? It's incredible. I mean, I think part of the reason why people don't take it seriously is because the connotations behind it, which obviously is a similar thing that's happening to you and your social media at the moment, because you've been shadow banned
again
on Facebook and Instagram. So tell us what that means.
So essentially it means that if people search my name on the platform, they can't find me. And when you're launching a product or the podcast, how are people supposed to find what I'm trying to share with my audience? So it just means if people were to go on Instagram right now and type in my name, you probably couldn't find me unless you typed in my full handle. Which, how many people will automatically know that if they're searching for somebody that they've just maybe heard their name in passing? So it just dramatically reduces your visibility. And where I'm trying to share video snippets and bits about the podcast on my platform, people can't see it. So my reach has gone down massively, and it's like, I'm trying to share this new little baby with the world and want to reach as many beautiful souls as I can, but the platform's algorithm at the moment is not letting me do that. And so I've got all this content sitting there waiting to go to share with the world, and I'm kind of just sitting there going, well, there's no point in posting it at the minute because nobody's going to see it.
which is unfortunate. I mean, Isabella was explaining to me just during the song there that it's to do with sort of the algorithms and the bots and looking at keywords, and they see the word burlesque and equate it to something that it's not, and that's kind of what's getting in your way here.
Yeah.
I mean, does it frustrate you when people associate it with other content that you can find on the internet?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Burlesque struggles with this in general. Like, you hear the word burlesque and then people immediately think it, and I hope
it's something more explicit.
Yeah, something more explicit, because of some of the art elements of the art form. But essentially it's an expression of art in itself that's just done through the way that you move your body and the way that you choreograph with your costume. So it's incredibly frustrating that just the bots at Meta have just gone, the word burlesque and the word performance means explicit content, and you're like, you're taking away and devaluing and dehumanizing the beautiful colour and the nuances in the art form itself and the people that create the work.
Well, something that you can explore, I guess, through your podcast. Does this happen to other performers like yourself?
Yeah, it's something that we've been discussing in the community. Like, quite a few performers have had to change. So essentially at the minute, the problem I'm experiencing is my bio at the top of my Instagram page is being scanned and assessed for words, and it's just going no. And so that essentially, your bio is like your landing page of your website. So say somebody finds your Instagram page, they read those first 2 sentences and establish who you are and whether they want to follow and engage with you or not. Well, if I can't tell somebody in that bio that I'm a Marilyn tribute, a burlesque performer, a vintage artist, then how are they going to understand or know what I do and want to follow me? So it's just so detrimental to your business in that respect.
And like you said, you are a one-man band. You are the creative and the performer. You are also the manager and the business planner. I don't even know what the word is. That's how terrible I am in this world. So it's, I can imagine it's incredibly frustrating. Do you know what you can do?
I'm constantly sitting at the moment and testing what words flag the system and what words don't flag the system, which is very time consuming when I've got other aspects of my business I need to do. And I've even spoke to Meta on a telephone conversation. I was like, just give me a list of the words not to use. That make it easy for me. If you're setting this hoop that I've got to jump through, okay, give me some parameters of the hoop. And they can't. And so you're left guessing, like, well, if you're not telling me what words I'm using that are wrong, I'm having to just constantly trial and error, which is a waste of my time. I could be serving people in other ways,
Well, we'll hear a little bit more from Isabella on this. I can sense the frustration here. I'm not surprised. I've got one more question for you before I let you go, Isabella. So there are many takeaways you can get from Isabella Bliss. One of those is how to work hard to achieve your dreams, and also how to have the confidence to say yes to the thing that seems incredibly hard. And those are just some of the stories that we can hear on her Behind the Burlesque podcast as well. So tell us a bit about where we can find it and where we can see more from you.
So you can find the podcast on all major streaming platforms, so Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all of the major ones, it'll be on there. But also you can watch on YouTube. So you can see these performers in real life and see what they look like.
Do they come glammed up and in costume?
We do. I did ask everybody. I was like, show up as your most glamorous version of yourself, because I want people to see that interesting part of your personality. So yeah, you can watch it on YouTube, which I'm really excited about.
Oh my gosh. And we had the scoop about a potential book coming out at some point. So we've got to basically keep an eye on you too and see what.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gone through like huge life transformational changes over the last 6 months, and I'm really excited about the next 6 months, because I feel like I've been a performer for 13 years now. I've been on stage, and I want to be able to reflect that back. All the skills and knowledge and everything that I've picked up along the way about courage and resilience and determination, and how do I share that back to people so they can hopefully learn and take something from it and grow in their own way. So that's kind of like the new chapter of my work now, I guess.
Loving it. Thank you ever so much, Isabella Bliss, joining us in the studio today. We look forward to hearing Behind Burlesque, the podcast, on all your usual platforms.